What if the most feared being in hell was never Satan? What if there was an angel so terrifying that even demons froze when they heard the sound of his chain dragging across the earth? The book of Revelation describes armies, plagues, and creatures rising from the abyss. But hidden inside that prophecy is a figure many people overlook. An angel created not to save mankind, but to hunt demons. And when the end of the world began, God unleashed him. Across the earth, chaos spread like fire, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. Demonic armies flooded the world. Cities burned beneath black smoke. Streets echoed with screaming. Humanity collapsed under terror and destruction. Then something appeared in the middle of the nightmare. A dark angel stepped out of the abyss, carrying a massive chain forged for only one purpose: to drag hell back where it belonged. One demon charged toward him through the smoke. The creature never even reached him. The angel seized it with one hand and drove it into the ground with force that split the earth beneath them. Dark marks ran down the angel's face where claws had torn across him. But he did not react. He did not step back. His black wings opened behind him like shadows swallowing the sky. Then the demons saw the chain, and everything changed. The feeding stopped. The screams faded. Thousands of creatures turned toward the same figure, standing alone among them. Dark wings spread wide, shadows marking his face, the chain already swinging toward the next target. For the first time since escaping the abyss, the demons looked afraid, because they knew exactly who had arrived. Before he became the terror of hell, before he guarded the abyss itself, this being had another name: Muriel. He was not an archangel like Michael. He was not a warrior surrounded by heavenly armies. He was simply a servant of God, almost invisible among the hosts of heaven. But one act of obedience changed him forever. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. This is the story of the angel who carried that chain, the dark warden of the abyss, and the being demons fear more than Satan himself. Before the abyss had a warden, before demons trembled at the sound of a chain, the being now called Abaddon was almost invisible in heaven. His name was Muriel. He was not like Michael, commander of heavenly armies. He carried no flaming sword. No armies marched behind him. Among the countless servants standing before the throne of God, Muriel was the one few even noticed. Then heaven gave a command that changed eternity. God called angels forward and ordered them to gather dust from the four corners of the earth. Simple words, a simple task. The first angel descended, but the moment his hand touched the ground, the earth itself cried out, "I am protected by the one who made me. Whoever takes from me will answer to him." The voice shook the mountains beneath the angel's feet. Fear overtook him instantly. He withdrew his hand and returned to heaven, empty-handed. Then another angel tried. The same warning echoed through the earth, then another, and another. One by one, every angel stepped back. None dared continue. They feared disobeying the very voice that formed creation itself. Then Muriel stepped forward. "The earth will speak against you as it did the others." Muriel lowered his head before God. "I heard the warning, Lord. I will still obey." And for the first time, heaven grew silent around him. Muriel descended alone. As his feet touched the earth, the voice returned louder than before. The ground trembled violently. The oath repeated again and again like thunder rolling beneath the world. But Muriel did not retreat. He drove both hands into the soil. The earth resisted him. Mountains shook. Cracks spread across the ground. Yet Muriel tightened his grip and tore the dust free with his own hands. Then he carried it back before the throne of God, and heaven watched, because he was the only one who obeyed. You have done what no other angel would do." Then God changed him. Muriel's white wings darkened feather by feather until they became black as the abyss itself. They spread wider and wider, swallowing the light behind him. His body grew heavier with power. Black claws pushed through his fingertips. His eyes darkened completely. Armor formed across his skin like living iron. The angel who once stood unnoticed before heaven was becoming something terrifying. "And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." Then God spoke his new name. "You are no longer Muriel." The air itself seemed to tremble. "You are Abaddon, my dark angel." Then God revealed the true purpose behind Abaddon's transformation. From heaven, he held out a single black key. Not a weapon, not a crown, a key. The key of the bottomless pit. Beneath the earth, deeper than the grave itself, there existed a place untouched by light. No walls could measure it. No fire could warm it. An abyss older than kingdoms, older than mankind, hidden beneath creation since the beginning. It had been built for one purpose: to imprison what heaven never wanted released again. God placed the key into Abaddon's hand. "You will guard this pit. Nothing leaves unless I command it." Abaddon closed his fist around the iron key, and from that moment forward, heaven gave him a duty no other angel could carry. Whatever entered the abyss would never return. He descended through layers of darkness far beneath the world of men, past the oceans, past the roots of mountains, down into silence so deep it seemed creation itself had ended, and there he saw it. An enormous iron gate standing over a black void without end. Cold air rose from beneath it, not wind, something worse, something ancient. Abaddon stepped closer and looked through the bars into the darkness below. No sound came back, no movement. Only emptiness waiting beneath the earth. Then he took his place beside the gate, alone, the first warden of the abyss. Centuries passed, then millennia. One by one, heaven filled the pit. Rebellious angels were chained and cast into the darkness. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness. Then came the great flood, the Nephilim, giants born from fallen angels and human women, perished beneath the waters. But according to the ancient traditions, their spirits did not die. They remained restless, wandering the earth without form, without peace. Those wandering spirits became the first demons, and God sealed them behind Abaddon's gate. The abyss was never meant to open again. Everything beneath it was buried for a reason, and standing before that gate was the one being demons feared most. Through ages of darkness, Abaddon never slept, never abandoned his post. Not one spirit escaped the prison beneath the earth, until the day heaven gave a different command. Not to guard the abyss, not to strengthen its chains, but to open it. If you think the abyss was already terrifying, stay with this story. Because the moment Abaddon turns the key, the world changes forever. For thousands of years, the abyss remained sealed. Behind the iron gate, the imprisoned spirits never stopped raging. Their screams echoed endlessly through the darkness below the earth. Claws scraped against the bars without rest. But no matter how violently they fought, the prison held. Above them, the world continued. Empires rose and collapsed into dust. Prophets spoke the words of God. Wars swallowed nations in destruction. Generations lived and died without ever knowing what waited beneath their feet. And all the while, Abaddon stood guard. Then heaven chose one man to witness the final days before they arrived. John, the last living apostle. He had walked beside Jesus. He had seen the blind receive sight and the dead rise again. He stood near the cross when Christ was crucified. One by one, the other apostles were killed, but John survived. Rome exiled him to the island of Patmos. a lonely prison surrounded by endless sea, old, isolated, forgotten by the empire, but not forgotten by God. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and suddenly heaven opened before him. John saw visions of the end of the world unfolding one after another. He saw angels, judgment, fire, collapsing kingdoms, and the final war between heaven and darkness. Every word he recorded became the book of Revelation. The destruction began with 7 angels carrying 7 trumpets. One trumpet brought fire upon the earth, another poisoned the waters, another darkened the sky itself. But the 5th trumpet was different, far more terrifying. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Deep beneath the earth, Abaddon heard the sound. After ages standing before the gate, the moment had finally arrived. The command he had waited for since the beginning of creation. Not to defend the abyss anymore, but to unlock it. Abaddon lowered his eyes to the black key resting in his hand. For ages, that key had remained untouched. The gate beneath the earth had never opened, but now the command of heaven had been given. So Abaddon turned the lock, the abyss opened. Instantly, the earth convulsed, mountains trembled, cities shook. A massive fracture ripped across the surface of the world, stretching farther than the eye could see. Then smoke exploded upward from the depths. Not ordinary smoke, darkness. And there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened. The sky turned black in the middle of the day. People looked upward in confusion as the sun vanished behind rising clouds from beneath the earth itself. Then something moved inside the smoke. Ships, thousands of them, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. But these were not creatures of the earth. They were massive, shaped like war horses prepared for battle. Iron armor appeared fused directly into their bodies. Their faces looked almost human, but their mouths stretched too wide, filled with rows of jagged teeth. Long tangled hair hung behind them, while black wings vibrated with a sound like distant chariots rushing into war. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. They swept across the earth in swarms. Yet something strange happened. The creatures ignored the fields. They passed over crops and trees untouched. Instead, they searched only for people without the seal of God upon them. Then the torment began. The stingers pierced flesh, and burning spread through the body within seconds. The pain did not end. It deepened hour after hour without relief. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it. For 5 months the suffering continued. Then came the 6th trumpet, and the 6th angel sounded. Far away near the Euphrates River, 4 fallen angels remained bound in chains since ancient times. Heaven had preserved them for a single moment in history. That moment had arrived. Their chains shattered. The fallen angels rose into the sky, and behind them came an army so vast the earth shook before it could even be seen. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. 200 million. Wave after wave crossed the horizon, riding monstrous beasts with lion-like heads and mouths overflowing with fire, smoke and sulfur. Their tails twisted like living serpents, striking at everything behind them. Cities disappeared beneath fire and smoke. Smoke covered the streets. Entire nations collapsed into chaos. And standing above the destruction, watching the world burn beneath him, was Satan himself. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. 7 heads rose high above his massive body as he watched the destruction unfold. He did not need to fight. His army was already doing it for him. And the third part of men was killed. City after city disappeared beneath fire and darkness. and the demons believed nothing could stop them now. The demons believed the abyss was behind them forever. After ages trapped beneath the earth, they now roamed freely across burning cities and ruined nations. The prison gates had opened. Humanity was collapsing. Nothing stood against them anymore, or so they thought. They remembered the darkness of the pit. They remembered the chains, but as the world fell apart around them, fear slowly disappeared. The demons fed on chaos while smoke covered the earth and kingdoms turned into ash. Then a sound echoed across the world. Metal dragging against stone, slow, heavy. Every demon froze instantly. Claws stopped moving. Wings folded tight against their bodies. The creatures standing over, terrified humans, suddenly stepped back in silence, because they recognized that sound. The chain, and they knew who carried it. Deep beneath the earth, Abaddon heard the command of God. 3 words: bring them back. The moment those words were spoken, the warden of the abyss moved. He had waited through centuries of darkness for this exact order. He did not hesitate. He did not question. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Abaddon seized the massive chain, hanging beside the gate of the abyss. Each iron link was thick and blackened, like metal forged inside a furnace. The weight of it would have crushed ordinary beings, but Abaddon wrapped it around his arm effortlessly. Then his wings opened. Darkness spread behind him like a storm swallowing the sky. Before the final word of God's command had fully faded, Abaddon was already rising from the abyss, and across the earth every demon understood the same terrifying truth. The hunt had begun, and this is where the story becomes even darker. If you are still watching, comment Dark Angel below, because Abaddon is about to face the one being even heaven once feared. Abaddon tore the chain from the wall of the abyss. The iron links crashed against each other like thunder. Each piece was massive, forged before the foundations of the earth were laid. No ordinary angel could even lift it. The chain existed for one purpose alone: to bind whatever God commanded bound. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Abaddon wrapped the chain around his arm and took the key from beside the gate. Then his black wings opened. A violent shockwave burst through the abyss as he launched upward. When he struck the surface of the earth, the ground split beneath his feet. Every demon felt it instantly. The air turned cold. Fires weakened. The creatures roaming through ruined cities suddenly stopped moving. Some fled into darkness. Others buried themselves beneath the earth. Even the strongest among them trembled, because they knew exactly who had arrived. 200 million demons feared one being, Abaddon. But Abaddon ignored the armies surrounding him. His eyes were fixed on only one target: the dragon, Satan himself. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. Abaddon landed before him, and the earth cracked beneath the impact. Satan slowly turned. 7 monstrous heads rose above a body covered in scales black as burned stone. His eyes moved across the chain, the black wings, the key hanging at Abaddon's side. Then the dragon smiled. "You, the keeper of the pit." Abaddon said nothing. "I led rebellion in heaven before mankind existed," Satan roared. "Nations collapse when I whisper, and you stand beside doors." Still Abaddon walked forward, closer. The dragon's 7 mouths opened at once. Flames exploded across the battlefield, hot enough to melt stone and blacken the earth. The fire swallowed Abaddon completely, yet he kept moving through it. Then Satan struck. One massive jaw clamped onto Abaddon's shoulder. Another seized his arm, while the weight of the dragon crashed down upon him. For a moment the earth itself shook beneath them. Then Abaddon moved. He grabbed one of the dragon's heads with both hands and ripped it away from his shoulder. Black blood poured across the ground. Before the other heads could strike again, Abaddon drove forward and seized the center neck. With a roar that shook the battlefield, he lifted the dragon off the earth and slammed him down hard enough to split the ground beneath them. All 7 heads crashed into the dirt. Satan twisted violently, claws tearing across Abaddon's armor and carving deep wounds through his chest. Blood ran down the dark scales covering his body. But Abaddon did not release him. Instead, he forced the dragon down with one knee and began wrapping the chain around each neck. For the first time, Satan's expression changed. Recognition. Muriel, the dragon growled. They sent Muriel. Abaddon tightened the chain harder. The dragon struggled violently, wings flattening trees as he fought against the iron binding him. But the chain had been forged for beings exactly like him. "This is not over," Satan roared. Abaddon answered by lifting the chained dragon from the earth and casting him back into the abyss. Satan's roar echoed upward through the darkness, growing weaker, then disappearing completely. The gate slammed shut, the lock turned, and the abyss was sealed once again. Blood still ran down Abaddon's chest, but he did not look at the wounds, because the war was not finished yet. Satan was only the beginning. The 4 fallen angels released from the Euphrates were still loose across the earth. The commanders who had unleashed the army of 200 million. Abaddon went after them first. The first fallen angel stood waiting on a ruined hilltop. It had watched it fall into the abyss and knew escape was impossible. Still, it chose to fight. Its wings spread wide as it rushed forward, but Abaddon caught it instantly. With one brutal motion, he seized the creature's wing and shattered it at the joint. Before the fallen angel could recover, the chain wrapped around its body. Then it vanished back into the abyss. The second tried to flee across the Euphrates. Abaddon caught it before it reached the opposite shore. He dragged it through the river behind him and cast it back into the darkness below the earth. The third resisted with fury. It struck Abaddon hard enough to turn his head sideways. But the dark angel did not even step back. He grabbed the fallen angel by the throat, rose into the sky, and hurled it into the pit without slowing his flight. The fourth was different. When Abaddon found it, the creature was already kneeling, wings folded, head lowered, waiting. Without a word, Abaddon chained it and returned it to the abyss beside the others. 4 generals gone, but the army remained. 200 million demons still crawled across the earth. Then the hunt truly began. Hundreds charged at Abaddon at once, screaming through smoke and fire. The chain swung through them like a storm. One demon crashed into another. Another disappeared into the abyss before it could rise again. Abaddon did not stop moving. One creature lunged toward his face. He caught it by the throat and drove it into the ground. Another attacked from behind. The chain struck across its jaw and sent it spinning into darkness. Then the demons understood. They were not facing an army. They were facing the warden of the abyss himself. Fear spread through them faster than fire. Some fled into oceans. Others buried themselves beneath ruined cities or hid inside cracks beneath the earth. Days passed, then weeks. The world grew silent except for one sound, the chain. Abaddon hunted through empty streets and broken kingdoms without rest. He dragged demons from rivers, caves, and collapsed buildings. None escaped him. One creature trembled beneath shattered stone and begged, "I will return willingly, just do not touch me with the chain." But Abaddon showed no mercy. Another demon stood openly before him and laughed. "We are only weapons. If God releases us, what does that make you?" Abaddon answered by throwing it into the abyss before the creature could finish speaking. The locust demons proved hardest to capture. Fast, scattered, their armored bodies crossed entire continents trying to escape him. Still, Abaddon hunted them down one by one, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. The numbers began to fall. 200 million, 100 million, 50 million, 1 million, until finally none remained. The smoke cleared from the sky. Sunlight returned to the earth. Wind moved again through ruined fields once covered in ash. And at the edge of the abyss stood Abaddon. The marks from Satan's claws still scarred his chest. The wounds had closed, but the scars remained. Below him, Satan, the fallen angels, and the armies of darkness were sealed once again beneath the earth. Alone, the dark angel folded his wings and returned to his post. The warden was watching the gate once more. But the demons sealed beneath the abyss were not the beginning of the story. Long before the fallen angels, before the great flood, before the gates of the abyss were ever built, there was another name feared in heaven. A woman formed from the same dust Muriel once tore from the earth. Her name was Lilith. According to the ancient traditions, she walked beside Adam in Eden before Eve existed. She was not shaped from Adam's rib. She stood beside him as an equal beneath the trees of paradise. But Eden did not remain peaceful for long. One day, Lilith spoke a sacred name no human was ever meant to utter. The moment the words left her lips, the garden trembled. The ground shook beneath her feet. The air itself seemed to recoil. And before Adam could stop her, Lilith turned her back on Eden and walked away from paradise forever. God sent angels after her. They found her beyond the garden and commanded her to return. She refused, and according to the forbidden stories, that refusal changed the world. Because what Lilith became in the darkness beyond Eden gave rise to countless demons long before the abyss was ever opened. The war between heaven and darkness did not begin with armies. It began with one woman who chose to leave paradise behind, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. But the story of Lilith did not end outside those gates. In many ways, it was only beginning. The next story reveals the forbidden woman before Eve, the curse behind the first demons, and why the name Lilith echoed through generations after Eden fell.